if you have more than a couple hours a week to work on your internet business, then there might be, a bit of these other things that you can do, but definitely start with this particular strategy first.
And we're definitely not saying that, Google AdWords isn't an effective strategy, or Facebook ads isn't a good strategy, or Twitter or whatever. There are a lot of great tools out there. But yeah, I agree. If you come back to this fundamental strategy, this is going to give you focus. It's going to help you not be overwhelmed by all those different tools. And if you do go and adopt a tool, it's not because you're just doing Twitter because it seems like everyone else is doing Twitter, or not just doing Twitter because some blog post made it sound super compelling, and all of a sudden you're feeling anxious about, oh my gosh, I got to get started on Twitter or else I'm missing out. So, if you see someone else talking about all these other cool flavor of the week things, remember this episode here and come back to this fundamental strategy. And again, we're going to reveal at the end what we're talking about exactly here, but it'll bring into focus all these different tools and definitely help cut through the overwhelm. All right, number 6 is that it doesn't require being a salesy salesman or having exceptional copywriting skills. How do you feel personally about copywriting, Sterling?
I'm actually strangely scared of it because it's like it seems to be very important, and of course we have later hired somebody to do some of the copywriting, even though that's not most of what we do. But yeah, it looks like something you could spend your entire life just learning copywriting. And I actually had courses on it and never even jumped in because I was like, I want to have an internet business. I don't want to be a copywriter. And to be a really good copywriter, like I said, it just seems like you got to dedicate to it. And I definitely am not into being a salesman. I've tried it a couple of times in my life early on and was like, wow, this is not me. I definitely like talking about things I'm very passionate about and that kind of thing. But, being a salesman just sounds like horror to me. How about you?
Yeah. Well, copywriting it is. It's really tough. It's a critical skill, and it's one of those tough things because a budding entrepreneur or small business or starting out internet marketer, or well, even if you're intermediate advanced for that case, but it's extremely important. But when you're starting out, either A, you haven't had the time to put in to really learn it well, or B, you don't have the money to go and hire somebody to do it for you really well. And so it's kind of this tough thing. And that's something I notice a lot of. I ran into it myself a lot when starting out a new business. It's like, well, what am I going to do about copywriting and feeling like I have to be a good salesman and when you think about being a salesman, we think about some of the high pressure things like going to a car lot, or a lot of those things come to mind, and that's definitely an experience none of us like, and so we don't want to feel like we're having to put that on other people as well. So that's why we definitely prefer an approach that is more about just being yourself and talking about things that you're passionate about and offering value in such a way that people more just naturally come towards you because of that passion and affinity that they have for you and the value that you have to offer, rather than you having to, be tricky or slick with your words and things like that. And I think a lot of people can relate to that being salesy is no fun. Nobody wants to be a salesman, and copywriting is really hard. So what can the starting out person do that doesn't require them to have to be salesy or exceptional at copywriting skills? And this traffic attraction method definitely fits that really well. All right, number 7, and this is the one that I thought in the middle of last episode because it's something that you mentioned with eBay. You're talking about how one of your early businesses was dependent on eBay. You did really well with it, but because it was so dependent on the way eBay had their algorithms and the way they ran their different terms of service and stuff, you ended up at different times having to constantly change and keep up with you'd find something that would work, right? And I should let you talk about this, but you kept getting slapped down and having to build back up. So maybe talk a bit about that and why it's important to have a traffic method that is slap proof.
Yeah, well, anything they make a decision. So if they make a bad management decision, it can destroy your business. I mean, one year I lost half my income easily just because of the way they switched things around in how they did their feedback and how they did a bunch of different things. They turned off digital downloads, and that killed me. And they didn't have any good reasons to doing these things. I mean, you're not in charge of your own business, and I really hated that idea. And speaking of slap proof, I mean, the slap comes from the Google slap that people talked about before, where, you could be ranking on the first page of Google and then all of a sudden they change their algorithm and you're not nowhere at all. You're 10 pages in or something. And actually, last week I went to lunch with a friend of mine, and he said that he took about several months to get his AdWords campaigns just right. And then they actually just sent him an email that morning. I mean, he was totally crushed, saying that he had to stop doing his ads or they would just turn off his account. And he was asking me, what should I do now? And of course, I started talking about this particular strategy. And he said, he instantly thought, oh, it's going to take a lot of time. And he's like, I don't have a ton of time. I don't want to have to take a lot of time. And then, of course, I talked him through it and broke it down. And he was completely excited because then it's like at least the base of your traffic, because we'll use anything to get traffic if it works. So it can be Google, it'll be all those things, right? Like we'll use Google AdWords, Twitter, all the other stuff. But you want the base of your business to be this strategy because you're in charge of it. So as Jay said earlier, he's saying that 90% of his income and it's probably 75, 80% of mine came from just this strategy. Now, in the last couple of years, it's probably 95% of my income comes from this strategy. But in the first, it wasn't quite this because, again, I was using eBay. But you want the base of the business to be you in charge of it. And that's why this is so important. This number 7, you cannot be slapped by doing this strategy.
Yeah, everybody chases after these holy grails of traffic. And again, not saying Google AdWords isn't something that you should pursue, but the danger is when you're chasing after, like, oh, well, Google AdWords is the answer, and then your whole business is based on that. Well, what do you do if all of a sudden, something changes, or if eBay's the source, or anything, any one particular thing, and this strategy is very easy to make broad base, make it diversified in the way that it attracts traffic and the way that it's delivered and executed, so that it helps mitigate that. And it is funny because a lot of times, same thing. I think we all, when I talk to people about this strategy, they're always like, well, yeah, it's going to take so much time, and I can see why that is the initial response. But I think we all agree that it's like, look, traffic is something you have to do for your business. And if you're going to put the time in, again, you may as well go for high leverage results. A little bit of time, a little bit of money gets big results for marketing. So it's, I don't know why people avoid doing this kind of thing. Maybe that it's just kind of that easy button type feeling of feeling like, well, if I can just throw some money at Google AdWords, then everything will be okay. But that's an extremely dangerous thing to base your business upon. And yeah, the strategy doesn't have to take a lot of time. That was one of our criteria that we laid out there. Okay, so number 7 was that it should be slap proof so that you don't have to constantly be worrying about losing your business overnight. Number 8 is that it fits all these criteria, but it still needs to help you reach your monetary goals. Meaning, some people might go, oh, okay, well, I'm going to go and plaster flyers all over the place, which in some rare cases might do something for you. But I'm always surprised when a few years back when I would watch The Apprentice, and it seemed like the blanket answer for marketing any solution or for a task was, we're just going to go hit Times Square and start handing out flyers. And it's like, how untargeted can you possibly get?
No doubt. Shotgun effect from a mile away.
It's not going to deliver the goals, the monetary goals that they had, that they needed to reach to win a task. And that's the same. A lot of times people go chasing a strategy thinking, oh, this is going to be really easy, or it seems to make sense. But in the end, you got to ask, is it really going to reach your monetary goals? So none of this does any good if it's not going to help you make the money you need to make. It needs to be something that will generate sales. And of course, the number one thing that we've always found that generates sales is influence, establishing influence with your audience, with your target market. And influence comes from developing a relationship of trust with your market over time, with the people that follow and engage with you over time. You engage with them frequently, and that's where influence comes from. And influence can be immediately leveraged into money in the form of when you put that call to action out there, people will click, they will sign up, they will buy, they will take that ultimate action that you want them to take.